This is going to be my reaction video to the Lions' 14-3 loss in preseason week 1 against the New York Giants. Some may say, and I wouldn't have a problem if you did. Coach, what are you doing a reaction video about a preseason game where so many backups or third stringers played? In fact, I'm trying to retrain myself, to be honest with you. And nonetheless, I wanted to watch some rookies play. At times, it was difficult to pick out who was actually on the field. I was actually watching a New York area broadcast, which sounds kind of unusual, but I got to listen to Phil Simms and Carl Banks, which was pretty cool, to be honest with you. Two Hall of Fame football players, Super Bowl champions, and they admitted they were trying to get acclimated to the players that were on the field, and they get to go to practice every day, for the Giants and communicate with the coaches and stuff like that. So it's tough in the preseason for everybody. So I wanted to get myself back in shape, I guess you could say, trying to keep up with the flow of the game, trying to keep up with the data that I track, which I will show you a little bit of here in a moment. People that are in my Patreon, I'll make the entire game file available for as soon as the reaction video posts up. I was unsure of certain numbers for the Lions, and even after the play, sometimes it seemed like the New York broadcast was it seemed like they were talking to multiple people in the press box. So certain plays didn't start. I didn't get the video, I should say, until certain play the ball had already been snapped at least 3 or 4 times. And in some cases, maybe you didn't want to see the ball snapped for the Lions offense. It was really struggling, clearly, on a night that was raining and had a big impact. Neither team, I think, had a first down through the first 5 possessions traded. 3 for the Giants and 2 for the Lions. So really tough to execute, obviously, when the rain was that heavy. On the night, Detroit went for it on 4th down. 4 times. They were 0 for 4. They didn't convert either one. That doesn't really bother me. Individually, they don't bother me. It's a preseason game. Now, was this a regular season game? And Hooker's in the third quarter. I think it's 14-3. You're down there inside the 5. Kick the field goal. Get within 14-6. You're trying to win the football game. Here, I think first of all, I think it's a little ironic that in the first preseason game, Dan Campbell ends up going for it 4 times. Is there anything to glean from it or try to evaluate or judge? No, not for me, for real. I will say that I did not like the position that Nate Sudfeld was put in on the 4th down, where that turned out to be an interception. I'll actually talk about that possession here in a moment. It's the Lions' 7th possession that I guess technically turns into their 8th possession when Sione Vaki picks up the fumble from the Giants, a guy who had intercepted. I forget the player's name. But one thing to note about the 4th downs, and I'm sure that you've heard other Lions content creators or media people say this, or maybe even Dan Campbell and his staff probably months ago or over a year ago, is the normalization of going for it on 4th down. Now, I can't take credit for that observation necessarily. It was someone in our Lions Discord that made the point, and multiple guys, myself included, followed up and was like, wow, that's a great point. You're showing your players that this is normal behavior to go for it on 4th and 2, 4th and 1. So overall, it doesn't bother me. Maybe it bothers you. It's a preseason game that really means nothing in the grand scheme of things. I will tell you, it was kind of refreshing to listen to the Giants announcers. They made it clear. They were honest. Let's do it this way. They were honest that the Giants were taking this game way more seriously than Detroit was in terms of putting more second-string players on the field, more guys that will play in regular season games. I thought both defenses began the game with a sprinkling of guys who will play a lot of football for their defenses in 2024. Amik Robertson, I saw Terrion Arnold match up with Neighbors one time on 3rd down. Giants couldn't get anything going to Neighbors at all, so that was interesting if you ask me. Rakestraw was on the field some early. I think he's on the field on the touchdown run. It's not his fault. He's dealing with a receiver, but he's on the field on the touchdown run by Eric Gray. The Giants had some really good talent on the field that I have a little bit of awareness of. Deonte Banks is a Maryland guy. He's actually from Maryland. I saw him play in high school, that they drafted, I think, in the 1st round in 2023. Azeez Ojulari. Drew Phillips, the guy who I believe, got into a fight with Amon-Ra St. Brown, a 3rd-round pick, I think, out of Kentucky. Really talented DB. He had a tackle for loss. Tyler Nubin, the rookie safety from Minnesota. So the Giants were, credit to Carl Banks and Phil Simms for stating what I think you could see by middle of the first quarter, that the Giants were willing to commit more talent on the field to get them opportunities, to get them reps. Malik Neighbors was on the field a lot. Both defenses were clearly in control, particularly when it was raining so hard. Third quarter, when Hendon Hooker gets in, the rain kind of subsides somewhat. I'll have a little bit to talk about the difference in watching Hendon Hooker throw versus Nate Sudfeld. Maybe the weather is a big factor, but it looked like the ball just comes out so differently from Hooker's hand. Some guys that I was not able to notice a lot about. Let me let some game stats flow through here for you guys. Forgive me if that text or that font is too small. If it is, let me know in the comment section, and I'll make sure for the next one that I do, I enlarge it. I understand it. Some people watch these on their computer. Some people watch these on their phone or a tablet. I'm assuming on a tablet you can zoom in if you want and find the players. I probably am having those cycle through too quickly. All right, that should slow that down. So Giovanni Manu, I saw him on the field some, but I have no observations to make at this time. I did not see anything that I could judge. Robertson, to me, looked really good in coverage on some of the reps I saw. Tight coverage in the slot, quick, seems to be on the right leverage side, very athletic. I saw him on McKenzie twice, another guy in the slot. There was a ball that 51 tipped over the middle that was thrown by Drew Lock early, and Robertson was in coverage on a third down, tight coverage. Arnold in the slot, took Neighbors on and out, nothing there. I did not, pains me to say this, I did not think James Houston IV looked good at all, slipping multiple times. Now, he dropped into coverage 3 times early on where he's lined up at the Sam linebacker on the line of scrimmage, reads pass, and it's his job to drop out in coverage because they're rushing 4. So you guys know that I'm a big fan of his. Probably a bigger fan than you or anybody else you know, as a player and his story and the talent. But tonight was just, it was not impressive. The rain and the slippery conditions, if your cleats aren't right, that can be an issue. I don't know what it was, but nonetheless, I can't sit here and say that he looked impressive. Isaac Ukwu, hopefully I'm saying that last name correctly, and Nate Lynn did. And they played on the same field generally at the same time. I think Ukwu had a sack and 2 tackles. I think he missed a tackle for loss, but again, the numbers were kind of difficult to grab. I wasn't sure whether it was 45 or 41 that missed a tackle in the second possession. Nate Lynn looked impressive. You may have heard me talk about him already a couple of weeks ago or a month ago. I coached some kids who have since gone on to coach college football, and they coached against Nate Lynn for 2 years down in the South. I forget the name of the conference, but it's in North Carolina. And they told me how impressive he was, and I thought he was tonight. He had a sack, 2 quarterback hits. I think he had 2 other solo tackles. I thought he looked really good early and active and athletic. Looked like he belonged, at least on this level of player. Broderick Martin was the one who actually, I think, caused Lynn's sack. He got real pressure up the middle. He looked like a freight train on that particular pass rush. I thought he was involved in 2 different run plays as well. So that was encouraging to see Broderick Martin out there playing and playing well. I really can't blame the Lions for their approach, meaning how they held out a lot of their proven talent or their very promising young talent. Let's do it that way. It was glad to see a couple of the rookies get involved. It'll definitely make my job tougher Friday night. The turnaround of the Lions film being available to me, and then I'll have about an hour to create a couple of videos for you guys before the Ravens game will come on, and I'll try to watch that, record everything that I record, and do a reaction video for that. So it'll make my job more difficult to try to parse out who was on the field. I haven't rewatched the game. This is me just straight reacting to it. I haven't rewatched the broadcast version. I may do that later this evening to get a better idea of who's on the field in certain situations. There's not much offense to talk about. In terms of Hendon Hooker, it's unfortunate that it sounds like he got hurt on one of the scrambles. I thought the ball clearly came out quicker and came out with more zip than it did for Nate Sudfeld. It looked like a very slow release for Sudfeld. Again, the rain may be a bigger factor there than I'm letting on. So you feel free to let me know what you think of that. But the O-line struggled in pass pro early and often. I think they ended up with, well, you see it on the left-hand side of your screen, 228 total yards, only 15 first downs. Giants matched it with only 250 total yards and then 14 first downs. 6 or 8 of the runs the run game couldn't get going by the offensive line either. The center who was in the game early really struggled on 2 of his run game blocks. One of them was a gap scheme, one of them was a zone scheme. There was 6 or 8 runs that was like 3-yard gains, maybe 4. But even that, it looked like it could have been a 2-yard gain. You're watching the play, And as the play is unfolding, you're thinking, okay, this might only be a 2-yard gain. It ends up being a 3-yard or maybe a 4-yard gain. I didn't think the offensive line, the guys who they had out there tonight, did a good job at all. You can let me know what other people have said or what your judgment is of it. I normally like to show possessions, and there's nothing to really say about possessions tonight. Nonetheless, I will show this just so if you're here for the first time watching one of my reaction videos, you can see what I'm talking about. Again, if the font is too small or the text is too small, my apologies. But this is the 7th possession that turns into the 4th possession, I guess, after the interception that Sudfeld throws on the 4th and 2. It's probably halfway down your screen on the left-hand side, down in distance, and then oftentimes I'll put the time, in this case 1:13 left in the second quarter. And that is just an indicator to me that there was a timeout or a stoppage in play. I think it was Antoine Green, that was hurt. So it was 4th and 2 from the 19-yard line, and Dan Campbell chooses to go for it. They go sprint out, I think, to the right, 200 sprints to the right, 800 to the left, and it's a late throw. Herndon, I guess, is DB's name for the Giants, gets the return, and then one of the offensive linemen, I believe it's 74, forces the fumble. Great hustle by him, and Vaki with the recovery gives them a new set of downs. They're unable to get anything done on that set of downs and eventually have to drop the punt inside the 10-yard line. I put Hooker was in at quarterback because the Giants broadcast crew, Banks and Sims, they were talking about Hooker coming onto the field. Again, I'm going to harken back to admitting that I had trouble with numbers, so I'm not going to run them down that they did as well. They said, it looks like Hendon Hooker's coming on the field and they're going to go for this. Maybe the Lions were running him on the field. I don't know, because the screen was in the Giants broadcast booth at the time. They seemed to be assuming that the Lions would punt. So up to the halfway point, the Giants are up 14-3. It was not a super fun game to watch. I don't know how it felt for you. For me, I was trying to retrain myself to type fast and watch on a second screen. Nate Sudfeld and the offense just really struggled. I think at the half you have 87 total offensive yards, 2.6 yards per play, a total of 4 first downs in the opening half. Sudfeld didn't have a lot of time first. Let's say that. In a lot of the pass plays, he did not. And it was raining consistently. So those factors, like I said, hurt him. His release nonetheless looked very slow. Feel free to let me know if it doesn't normally look that slow. When you're trying to throw a wet football, sometimes you are being more sure about your grip, or you have to be because the ball is wet. It's slippery. You have less grip overall. He was 7 of 15 for 40 yards in the opening half. One thing that I noticed, a couple of possessions here to talk about. Second possession for the Lions ends in a 3rd and 2. Craig Reynolds is in. They try to run a one-back power play or a log play. Nothing there. The center just got jacked up. It's a gap scheme, and he's trying to back block on a D tackle, and the D tackle just condenses him back towards the play. Kind of surprising to me. I didn't see the level of force and physicality from a Lions offensive line that I'm accustomed to. The third possession, Lions are able to take a 3-0 lead after the interception by Joseph. I thought it was a poor decision by Drew Lock to throw that football. Man coverage, safety kind of sitting right there. I think safety had dropped down to trips. Unable to get a first down at all. Banks made 2 really nice plays. Deontay Banks for the Giants early in the game. He had a tackle on a second down run play, and then third down screen play, and then he had a coverage on this third possession for the Lions. It's a 3rd and 10. He has a coverage snap against 88 for the Lions. He pushed him out of bounds and just didn't allow the route to even develop at all. The Giants offensively really got nothing going until their 6th possession. They convert a 3rd down from DeVito, who looks athletic. I understand why some of the he's from North Jersey, and that's where they play football there, obviously the New York Giants. So I get it why they like him anyway. He's a local kid. But I enjoy his game. He gets rid of the ball quick, and he scrambles quick sometimes. The wheel to Eric Gray, on a 3rd and 7 on their 6th possession was kind of impressive. Into the boundary. It beat the inside linebacker for the Lions, 53. I'm not even sure who that is, to be honest with you. Then the draw from 48 yards out. I had 48 yards out, but they listed it as a 40-yard touchdown. Jukes the safety, and he's gone. Puts him up 7-3. Giants are able to add to it. turn it into a 14-3 lead at the half. You looking forward to watching Hendon Hooker play, and really didn't get much going at all on the first couple of possessions. He was only on for 2 possessions, I should say. And then you come to hear that he's hurt. I don't know anything about it. I don't know what the updates are. Hopefully, he walked off from what I saw, or walked out, I should say. So hopefully, it's nothing negative at all. His second possession did include some stuff that I liked. The first play of the second possession for Hendon Hooker, this is in the third quarter, is a play action concept over the middle, and I think it's a good ball. We'll get the end zone angle tomorrow, and we'll see. Clean release, way different from Sudfeld, but it looked dry then. It looked like the rain had stepped out. Then a 13-yard completion to a wide receiver. I think it was Isaiah Williams on a 3rd and 5. Nice little underneath drag to Williams to convert on a 3rd and 5. A 3rd and 8. Hendon Hooker tries to throw the ball over the middle. When he completes it, I thought that it was a completion. The Giants broadcast guys said it was incomplete. Nonetheless, the Lions got the first down because of a penalty. By my count, and it looks like a completion. So you got Hooker, I think, on a nice throw on his first throw, play action concept under center. A 3rd and 5, completing it to, I believe, Isaiah Williams. Again, I'm rusty here. And then a 3rd and 8, completing it to the tight end / fullback 43. They gained the first down because of penalty either way. So I'm happy at that point. I don't know about you. He tries to run through contact on a 1st and 10 boot, and he actually does. He kind of bounces off of 2 guys, ricochets off of them for a huge run. I got it down as a 16-yard gain. Gets down inside the 20. Hooker goes through his reads really fast on 2 occasions tonight, meaning it's a 3-step concept, and he's 1 read, 2 read, and I think he's even on to the 3rd read. This is the play where there's a face mask on number 48 for the Giants that gives them a first down. They called it on 48. I think it was really on an interior defensive lineman. But so even though Hooker didn't do anything noteworthy other than the scramble, on 4 of his pass plays, to me, he looks far superior to Nate Sudfeld. It's a little unfair for me to say that, though, because he played in the second half when it appeared to be dry on my broadcast screen versus the first half where you have a downpour. So feel free to let me know if I'm being too judgmental. I had the notion already that I thought Hooker was a better player, a better athlete with a more live arm than Sudfeld. And based on what I saw tonight, I still have that belief, but I understand that rain and weather had an impact. And then we get the announcement after when the Lions are coming on for what will be the 3rd possession of Hooker that he's out of the game, he's injured. I kind of stopped charting at that point and started creating some of the graphics that I produce here and writing up some of the stuff that I wanted to say. I'm really looking forward to seeing Giovanni Manu and watching some of the Nate Lynn film. The Lions, I almost said the Ravens, the Lions have some hard-coded options at outside linebacker edge. Aiden Hutchinson, obviously. Marcus Davenport. Sprinkle in some Josh Pascal. I think some of these other guys, Lynn, forgive me for not being able to say 45's name correctly. Those guys are trying to make the roster. Those guys are trying to, or maybe make a practice squad. And I appreciate how they played. It was fun to watch for me, even though it was not entertaining at all. Trying to go back through this process again for me, charting the plays and attempting to produce something that is somewhat entertaining for you is a challenge, and it's a fun challenge for me. So feel free to let me know if you like the product that I put out here as a reaction video. It takes me some time to produce it. It can't be an instant reaction. I was not able to live stream tonight. We had significant weather issues where I live, only about 2.5 hours from New York City. So in any case, appreciate you guys' time, man. If you think other Lions fans would enjoy this attempted reaction video on my part to their 14-3 loss in week 1 of the preseason to the Giants, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach. Additionally, if you have any suggestions for film study videos for Friday night before or after the Ravens game, please let me know in the comments section. Appreciate you guys' time.